So let's start here with Chris Avila, Dr. Mike. We'll start with Dr. Mike making his professional fighting debut. Dr. Mike, if you would, I want to give you the floor first. Just give an opening comment from members of the boxing media and obviously the boxing public who are listening and watching this. Your thoughts on taking on Chris Avila.
Well, I'm extremely excited to be a part of this event, being on Showtime pay-per-view, obviously a dream for any fighter. And I realized the blessing and the opportunity that I have in front of me. So I've been working extremely hard over the last year with my coaches, making sure that I'm putting in the valuable work while maintaining my day job as a physician. And I will say I do suspend that Hippocratic oath of do no harm when I step into the ring. But, I respect the fight game. I incredibly respect Chris Avila, the work that he's put in as a combat veteran. When I was younger, I would frequently throw around words of this fighter is not that good or this fighter is amazing, this guy's a bum. Being in the fight game to the small degree that I am now, I've realized the work that all fighters put in. So I have tremendous respect for everyone that steps into the ring.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Mike. Let me again introduce Chris Avila. 1-1 as a professional fighter. You know him from the UFC. You know him from Bellator, but he will be stepping into the ring on October 29th against Dr. Mike. Chris, I'll give you the floor. Give an opening comment.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And also, I'm excited to fight on this fight card against a good opponent and showcase that I'm a real boxer. And I'm just excited and happy to be able to fight on a good card, and excited to go out there and put on a good show for you guys, for everybody.
Fantastic. Guys, let's talk about your fight a little bit before we get members of the media to ask you some questions. Chris, I'll start with you. Listen, you've been in the fight game a long time. You know the old saying, you can play football, you can play basketball, you can play baseball, but you cannot play boxing. Do you believe Dr. Mike is playing a dangerous game on October 29th?
I believe he is. I'm not overlooking at anybody. I'm not ever getting it's a dangerous game. So it's a fight game. So I'm ready.
Dr. Mike, you heard him. Listen, I guess it begs the question. I mean, are you doing this because you really want to be a fighter, or are you doing this for clout?
23 million followers in, very successful day job. I'm doing this not only to motivate people to live to the top of their potential, to sort of lead by example and show that you should take on challenges that you feel that you can accomplish. And this is a challenge that I've always wanted for myself. I fell in love with boxing 11, 12 years ago when my mom passed away, and I was really struggling to find ways to stay active, to stay healthy, and boxing became a passion of mine. I was doing it for a long time, mostly for fitness sake, which is what I actually recommend to my viewers. Not everyone needs to step in the ring in order to enjoy what boxing can deliver. But since then, over the last year or two, I've been training very hard, sparring amateur, professional fighters. I understand this isn't a game. I know people can get very, very hurt. I'm a boxer. I'm not only a boxer, but also a doctor at the end of the day. So I know the dangers of what it's like to step inside that ring.
Chris, what do you think this fight will do for your fighting career here now that you put MMA aside and started the sweet science? What do you think this fight will do for your career?
I think it's just this is the next step to it's going to line me up for better fights and the fights that I want and deserve. And, I plan on fighting real competition, real boxers after this fight, get back to fighting and fighting real competition, but I'll fight anybody at the end of the day. Why not take this fight? So, yeah, I believe this is going to line me up for some good fights and, yeah, exciting.
Dr. Mike, one and done for you, or do you see yourself the first of many fights in your career coming?
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. This is obviously my pro debut. I have had an exhibition fight earlier this year that I was comfortable in, but now I'm drastically stepping up the quality of opponent that I'm going to be competing against. You know, Chris is a veteran in the fight game. He's never been knocked out. He's a tough guy. He comes from a tough training camp. I didn't want to go in and have an easy fight and fight other YouTubers that don't have any training or don't have any experience. If I want to do this for real, I need to see what it's like. And this was a great opportunity. So I'm very grateful for Chris for giving me this opportunity.
Chris, is almost one of these kind of fights is a double-edged sword because, you know, you get the fight, but then again, people are going to look and say, boy, you better stop him. You got a guy who's a doctor, has never fought before. If you get a win, that's great, but you didn't stop him. So I guess it begs the question here, will we see a stoppage on October 29th?
Yeah, I plan to go in there and look for a finish like I always do. So yeah, it's whatever. I don't give a fuck what everyone says or whatnot. We boxing, so we're not really fighting. I believe in myself that I can do whatever I want. So yeah.
You also, you know, we talked about how, you know, obviously you're a good friend, training partner of Nate Diaz. We saw Nate Diaz says, just like you, he wants to start boxing again and focus solely on boxing. Do you see Diaz as just a boxer and looking at the winner of this Jake Paul fight and wanting to fight the winner of the main event?
Yeah, possibly. Nate's got options out there, so whatever he decides to do, he's gonna do it. Yeah, possibly.
All right, let's get members of the media. I know there are members of the media who want to ask you guys some questions, so let's do that. Mitch is here from our Showtime Communications Department. So, Mitch, if you would you allow members of the media to ask some questions for Chris and Dr. Mike?
Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate it. Members of the media, if you have a question, please raise your hand virtually. The first question will come from Lance Pugmire of USA Today. Lance, go ahead.
Dr. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I just, you touched on it, but I wanted you to elaborate on it. Why would you start your fighting career against a professional?
Well, I'd like to think that I started my boxing career in May when I stepped into a main event, sold out main event, 10,000 people in the arena, over 100,000 pay-per-view buys against Ian. I did quite well. It was a 5-round fight. The judges gave me every round. And the quality of competition, I thought I could handle more. It would be cool to fight YouTubers if I was interested to raise clout, to make money. That's not what this is about for me. In fact, I'm donating my entire fight pay from this fight to the Harlem Boys and Girls Club of New York. This is really a challenge that I set for myself. And because of my respect for the fight game, I take quite seriously.
And what makes you think you can win this fight against Chris?
Honestly, it's my coach, Thomas Baldwin, ex-professional fighter who has really guided me in this journey. And what's interesting about our relationship, even though he's been training me for 10 years, I take care of his family as their physician. So he entrusts me with their lives. So I then entrust my life to him when stepping inside the ring. And he believes I'm ready, so I believe I'm ready.
Great. Thank you so much. And Chris, I wanted to ask you, obviously you're close to Nate, and like Brian was touching on, you know, Nate's investment in boxing is something that all of us are watching closely. Can you see like a Nate Diaz Promotions becoming a thing in this sport? And I mean, has he communicated anything to you regarding, you know, his interest in fighting the winner of Jake Paul and Anderson Silva specifically?
Yeah, he's got we got real fighting coming soon, so that's gonna be popping off for sure. So, and I don't know who he's gonna fight next. That's on him. I'm focused on my fight right now. So yeah, he could fight whoever he wants.
Great. You know, Jake Paul is part of this dynamic, and we know that a lot of people are going to be tuning into this pay-per-view. to see a YouTuber get smashed. Is that something that you want to accomplish here in your fight, that to kind of teach these guys that, look, they can't participate in the sport without receiving some real punishment?
Sure. Yeah. I'm just treating it like another fight. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm planning on just going out there and doing my thing and getting the job done, coming home with the win.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate it. The next question will come from Tony Morrow. Tony, can you say which outlet you're representing? Thanks. Tony, go ahead. Tony, are you there? All right, let's move on. Let's go to Donna Corby. Donna, please say which outlet you're representing.
Hey, Donna Corby from the Daily Mirror here. Dr. Mike, obviously I was at your fight in Florida against iDubbbz. You looked at times, because obviously the plan there was for you to do 4 threes in that fight. There was some controversy around that. You found out around 2 minutes into the first round that actually they're doing 2-minute rounds now. Do you think that the 3-minute rounds will be an advantage to you in this one?
I think in that first fight, the fact that the rounds were cut short was a tremendous advantage to my opponent, because at every round, at the 2-minute mark, I had him on the ropes thinking I had a minute left. I actually didn't realize that these were 2-minute rounds until about the 3rd or 4th round. And then somehow they added on another round, which I wasn't ready for. So we ended up doing 5 rounds. So there's a lot of confusion there. Always difficult to handle that level of confusion coming into a first fight with 10,000 people in the arena. But I think having the 3 minutes will allow me to work at a pace that I've been accustomed to and feel really comfortable succeeding in.
There's been a kind of a weird feeling there. I mean, obviously you and Ian very respectful of each other after that fight in the ring. You definitely gave him his props, because it wasn't a particularly close fight, but he was able to get through it and look okay coming out of it. But he has not been super complimentary of you after the fact. He said you didn't bring enough to the event. A lot of kind of underhanded comments. What have you made of his reaction to that event?
I mean, I haven't had any actually bad interactions with Ian. Him and I are still talking. I think the event that he put on alongside his wife Anissa was fantastic. So I give him all the respect in the world. I know even for myself, losing is tough, and there's always going to be statements made after the fact. I can only speak to my performance. I know I performed to the top of my abilities. It was clean. It was smart. I really put a lot of damage into him, so I have to give him credit for having the chin and the heart to stay within that fight. So I have nothing bad to say about Ian, and I hope Crater Clash 2 is even a bigger success.
Last one for me, Chris. In your MMA career and your boxing career, you fought Anthony Taylor twice. You lost a very close decision the first time. You won a very close decision the second time. There are people on both sides who feel the first time maybe you had won, and those same people might say the second time maybe it went Anthony's way. Do you feel like you'll meet him once again before your career is done?
Probably not. I feel like I beat him twice. I think he's just. I'm all right. I'm good.
All right, thanks for that question. Now let's go to Damon Martin at MMAfighting.com. Damon, go ahead.
First question is for Dr. Mike. Everyone fights for a different reason, but we always hear a lot of stories in both mixed martial arts and boxing about guys who, don't really have a choice. They grew up in fighting. This is what they do. You are a doctor. You're a very successful businessman. You don't have to do this. So why? What is the biggest motivation for you to want to actually step in there and do this professionally versus what you said earlier, just doing it for fun, doing it for fitness?
Yeah, I could have easily continued in my boxing journey for fun and fitness. To me, this is about living to the top of my potential, which is something that I tell all my viewers to do. And if my coach is telling me that I'm capable of achieving certain goals, I have to believe him. And generally speaking, I get a lot of joy being inside that ring. I can't imagine doing something else right now, despite the fact that I'm working 2-3 days a week in the hospital, filming 2-3 days a week for the YouTube channel. Just launched a new podcast with a new guest, Steve-O, coming on next week that I'm really excited about. I still continue training twice a day, 6 days a week, just like any other professional, making sure I eat right, making sure I rest. And it's just a true passion that I have for the sport, respect that I have for the sport. And I truly want to give my one last shot before I age out of my competitive fitness, if you will.
You know, we know that you don't play fighting. You know, that's a real thing. You don't play fighting, and you're a doctor. You know the inherent danger that comes along with fighting. We could talk about concussions, brain damage, things like that, but just in general, you know, broken noses, broken orbitals, things like that. Like, how do you approach this as a doctor? You know, going in knowing the danger that is involved with a sport like this, because again, you don't play fighting.
Damon, life's inherently dangerous. Whatever we choose to do, whether it's crossing the street, driving to work, taking an airplane, going skydiving, there's inherent risks all around us. And the goal of any good doctor in guiding their patients is to balance those risks with their enjoyment of life. And for me, this is a risk that is calculated, that I'm willing to undertake for the passion of the sport. And to be frank, I'm not going to be a boxer for 10, 15 years and take continuous punishment. If I do this, it's going to be for the next few years as a really strong passion of mine to see how far I can go. So I think this is a risk I've calculated well with my family and friends.
And for Chris, you know, listen, you've been in there with you know, great fighters, both in MMA and boxing. You know what this sport's all about. But, you know, in a way, you know, you're the pro here, right? You're the guy. You're the guy who's been in there and faced the competition. And Dr. Mike, for all intents and purposes, is a celebrity kind of coming into boxing. Do you put any extra pressure on yourself going into a fight like this, knowing that, you know, you're the guy, you're the pro, you're the guy who's supposed to win?
Nah, no extra pressure, you know. I take my stuff very seriously, and you know, I'm taking this fight, you know, and I'm gonna get it done with, and then I want to line myself up with a real fight after this and get back to fighting high competition. And I'm not overlooking this guy at all. I'm taking him seriously, and yeah, I plan on getting in there, get in the ring with like a vet, you know, someone like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Someone I was supposed to in talks with fighting a while back, and I would like to get in there with him, or you know, under the Real Fighting banner with my team, NDA Army. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you told me after your last fight, you know, you actually said, you know, hey, you would like to fight Jake Paul, you would be down for that. But do you see this as kind of like the one and done in terms of like the influencer fights? This is like the only time you want to do this. You want to move back to, you know, pro boxers, pro fighters after this.
It doesn't even matter, you know. I've been fighting real fighters my whole career. I'll fight anybody, so it's whatever. Whoever wants to fight me, what's up? I ain't tripping.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Damon. Good stuff. Let's try Tony Morrow again. Let's see if his audio problems are fixed. Tony, go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this question is for both fighters. What impression do you want to leave on the boxing world, regardless of the results? And this question is for both of you guys.
I want to leave it all on the table. I know Chris is coming in to kick my ass. I want it no other way. I want stiff competition. I think that's what the audience wants to see. We want to put on a good show, and I'm confident that Chris and I will deliver.
And Chris, same to you. What I know you have you just spoke on some goals that you have moving forward. What impression would you like to leave on the boxing world, regardless of the results for this fight?
I just want to show that I'm a real boxer as well. You know, I've been in the game for a while now, and it's just the beginning for me too, though. So, shit, I'm always gonna be fighting. I'm still young. I still got a lot in me too. So, it's just the beginning.
Thanks, Tony. Let's do one or two more. Let's hear next from Mark Abrams of Abrams Boxing. Mark, go ahead.
Hey guys, how you doing? Quick question for Dr. Mike. When most of these influencers, they've been fighting other influencers, and you did that in your first bout. Why take the opportunity to fight a real fighter when you probably could have fought another guy with millions of followers and would draw up the same interest?
Yeah, I think the point is hammered home here in that I'm not looking for an easy fight. There are plenty of YouTubers that I could walk over, take the easy win, get viewership, boost my channel's performance. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to reach a challenge for myself that I set very early on a year ago, and I continue to make that a reality. Again, not trying to do this for money, not trying to do this for clout. I know a lot of YouTubers are doing that, but this is something I've been passionate about. Even before starting boxing 10 years ago, from when I was 6 years old, I did Taekwondo for 8 years. So martial arts boxing, it's always been a way of life for me. And obviously I've never been a professional before, so I'm stepping it up considerably, and I'm aware of the risks that come along with that, but it's truly the passion that drives me.
And I guess quick question for Chris. Obviously he had the one fight. Did you see his fight? And if so, what did you think of him?
What was that? I couldn't hear you.
He had the one fight previously. Did you see that fight? And what did you think of him as a fighter?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, I'm sure he's got some skill set, so I'm taking him serious.
Great. Let's close it out with Cesar Seda. Cesar, please say which outlet you're with.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Cesar Seda, Decisión Dividida, América TV, Puerto Rico. My question is for Dr. Mike. Sir, you saying that you have a positive intention of tell your 23 million followers to live to the intense, to the maximum of their capacities, right? And that's the intention right there. But what about after it's all settled and done? If the result come adverse because you face reality that you getting involved in a sport that don't play, what is going to be the message? How are you going to change that message to those 23 million looking at you, thinking that they can risk their life like you, living to the extent?
Yes, Cesar, that's a great question. I think that the result doesn't change the goal. Whether or not I succeed or fail as the result, it's the journey that has to be the learning process. It's the fact that you're willing to take on a calculated risk, to work hard, to train hard, to be respectful. It's easy for a lot of these fighting press conferences and YouTube fighters to devolve into name calling, shit talking. But I think it's when you're respectful, you train hard, you work hard. That's what the audience really wants to see. That's the journey they want to come along with you on. So result being positive or negative is not how I judge the success of this fight.
Thank you, sir. Great answer.
All right. Thanks to the media for those great questions. I'm going to send it back to Brian Custer. Brian.
Okay, Mitch, thank you very much. As we wrap this up, Dr. Mike and Chris, we want to give you guys an opportunity to give us a final statement here as we move on to the next fight. But Chris, we'll start with you. Give us a final statement, because the next time we're going to see you is going to be in October 29th. It's going to be fight week and fight night. So let the people know, what should they expect when you step into the ring?
I plan on putting on a good show, and you guys will, everyone have to find out and see, but I plan on going out there and getting a knockout. So see you guys October 29th. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chris. Best of luck to you. Look forward to seeing you on Fight Week. Dr. Mike, same question to you. Give you the final word here. Let the people know, what should they expect when you step into the ring on October 29th?
October 29th, not only a fantastic main event, but a packed undercard. Me and Chris are going to go toe-to-toe. He's going to try and get that knockout. I'm going to try and prescribe my hands, suspend my prescription pad for a second, and instead prescribe that KO.
I love it. All right, Dr. Mike, Chris Avila, we appreciate your time.